Hello, everybody. Veritas here. I just like to proceed today's episode with the shout out to WIDA. I've teamed up with him. He's given me this platform to speak to you guys. New YouTube channel. It's at WIDA_vision, VISION. And so again, that was WID as in David A_vision on all platforms. If you're a creative and you'd like to feature here, we're looking for content creators, artists, designers, musicians, developers, and much more to get involved. So get in touch if you have talent that you'd like to share and work with some other like-minded creative individuals. The link will be in the description. Good day, everyone. Veritas here. And today we're continuing, or in this episode, I should say, we're going to continue off of the previous episode of Becoming the Tree. So more or less, this is kind of like part 2 of Becoming the Tree. And for those of you who have listened to it, we had discussed being of a creator mindset and versus a consumer mindset, and that at the crux of it all was whether or not we were being humble or prideful. And it had nothing to do with someone being good or bad or right or wrong or anything, but ultimately it was discussed that it is my perspective that it's just a series of beliefs that we hold about what we are and what we aren't. And when we're being prideful, it's because we are only seeing ourselves as a consumer being. And we don't see that there's also a creator being within us, and that we, the soul, are in the middle of this trinity. And so the consumer force, by its very nature, isn't inherently evil, and it's a part of creation. I had said in the previous episode, you have the magnetic pulling energy that is the need. Necessity is the mother of creation, so need is the mother of creation, which is an important thing. And then you have the seed, which is you in the middle, and then you have the father, which is the spirit energy, electric energy, less defined, less needy, less limited, which is the feed of the seed. And we had said that the need is selfish and the feed is selfless. And you don't want to, you could say one of them's the will, the feed, the need is the will of the individual. And the spirit is the other end of that. So as you could say, the father is the spirit. It is selfless. It is electric. It is the energy. It is less defined, less needy, less limited, and by its very nature is impartial. In Genesis, God said, well, God made everything and said it was good. It's impartial, right? It's the 0 point, as Tesla would call it. Some people call it the Akash. Some people call it the universe. It's basically everything within, and it's connected to all of us. Every single one of us have it at our core and our center. You just can't see it. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. And that's why I'm going to paraphrase this one. Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, I will give you what no man has heard, no man has seen, and no man has touched. Is basically saying the same thing, you know. And then and then you have the mother aspect, which is the need, what some people call selfish, which if someone was, you know, we'll talk about that in a second. So if you deny your spirit, you deny your ability to create change, and you are just driven by that consumer force, then you will live in what people will call sin, because you are living in a constant state of need without the understanding that you have the ability to do something about it. So if you live selfishly, you will live in sin, right? But what's interesting, and I'll go on to explain in this episode, if you go the other end of that and you say, oh, I want to deny all my needs, which I tried, failed, if you want to call it that, miserably at that, had my missteps, which is what sin means anyways. But if you deny your will and you go to try to be all spirit, which is what I tried, and go selfless, it will blow up in your face. Well, I shouldn't tell you what will happen, but I can tell you in my case it did. And there's a real reason for that. In the Bible, it says, love God first, love thyself as thy neighbor. It's very, very important. It's absolutely amazing for me that they say when you read the Bible with revelation, you see so much more in it. And I look at the Bible as a lot of code. I look at it as parables. To me personally, I don't care if there's a story about a human in the Bible, whether or not that human actually existed. I'm not looking at it as a historical document. I personally, I don't know. I don't really look. I don't really any historical documents that I read. I understand that people are involved. Like if someone's trying to say this happened on this date and this happened on this date. For any of you guys that are familiar with some of the studies they've done on witnesses and stuff like that, witnesses will change their story. Hello? Oh, that was weird. Witnesses will change their stories dozens of times. Multiple witnesses will. Some will see a red truck, some will see a blue truck. So I'm not looking for individuals' truths or recollection about who did exist and who didn't exist and when they existed. But I do strongly believe, especially after everything that I've come to learn, that there is gold in the Bible, and it's telling us, the Word of God is telling us how we can overcome ourselves, overcome the world, and become of a much higher frequency. So what was the thing that I was going to say about that? So yeah, in the Bible it says, love God, love thyself, and love thy neighbor. And that's really what I want to get into on this episode. Oh, I do want to go back. So if you deny your will and you just live in the spirit, you'll be selfless, right? If you deny your spirit, and that's your soul, the source of God within you, the universe, Kosh, whatever you want to call it, the creative force that you are humble enough to acknowledge exists, that there's something beyond, and another thing from the Bible, that you're seeking beyond your own understanding. So his pride is believing you are yesterday, and the voice in your head is you solid. There's nothing you can do about it. That's what it is. So then now you have to defend it and all that. So truly being humble is being humble to the fact that you are a Trinity. Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, I believe, you can't serve two masters, you can't string two bows, you can't straddle two horses. One of them has to be the master, and the one that you want to be your master is your greatest self, and that's that source within you. But you don't want to also just completely suppress the will. So what do we need to do? We need to marry them. And that's what the sacred union is, and that's why the Yeshua fish is actually two geometric overlapping circles, as above, so below, inside like the outside. That's what that's saying. It's saying find the balance within yourself, align all aspects of yourself, balance your will with your spirit, so that you are not selfish, nor are you selfless. And you do this by understanding that you are both the need of the seed and the feed of the seed. And when the seed realizes that it's all three, it's when it becomes the tree. So how do you do that? How do you not be selfish and not be selfless? Be self more. That's what it is. Being self more is how you balance the selfish with the selfless. And we'll actually come to find out and go on to talk about that. The virtues will show you how to do this, right? So one thing that I wanted to do in this episode for you guys, I told you I'd start adding some more practical stuff in there, but please do keep in mind, or please do understand that there's really is a method to my madness and why I've been doing a lot of this talking. What I try to do is, when I do these, I try to work to just let it flow through me, but there's also an approach I'm doing. So normally, my normal speaking is very, very, very fast. When I just talk for fun when I speak for fun with people. And what I'm trying to do with this is do it in a kind of a flow state, so that as I am speaking, because this isn't a lesson, like, how if you're listening to a lesson for school and then you start daydreaming for 5 minutes, you're like, you come back in and you don't know where they are. It's like, what am I supposed to do? I want you guys to be thinking throughout this whole thing. Go ahead, daydream. Let your connect to it on a frequency level, and let yourself flow with it. And you'll notice that when this information comes, your mind will start making revelations while you're listening to it. That's when I'm being successful at what I'm doing, and what I would consider success for you guys as listening is when you're able to marry the words, and bring it into your understanding, and you're in a state of flow, state of creation while you're listening. And so that's part of the reason that I deliver some of the things that I do in an unorthodox way. Sometimes I'll do a little anecdote or something like that. It gives people a reprieve. For those people that aren't interested in the anecdote, they're thinking about what they just heard, stuff like that. All right, so we're going to get into some practical stuff here. So the first thing, so remember in the last episode, if there was one main takeaway from the last episode, it was how to truly understand what pride is. Understand that pride is the deadliest sin, and that the reason for it is simply because it is a mindset that is employing an evaluation tool that is founded in the past. The vibration aspects of ourselves, the outer self, the ego, the vibration, the most limited aspect of who we are, and it's letting that run the ship. It's putting that in its wrong place. And usually pride comes about because the person truly just believes that they're this human animal, that they're just this body. And I want to give you guys another quote from the Gospel of Thomas. And maybe as you keep hearing these quotes, you might wonder why it was taken out of the Bible, because they're very empowering. And for me, I love it because I read them all, and then they would come to me afterwards. But so it says, Jesus said, "Wretched is the body that is dependent upon a body, and wretched is the soul that is dependent on these two." Wretched is the body that is dependent upon a body, and wretched is the soul that is dependent upon these two. That's everybody. It's funny because we've been kind of trained to accept this idea that who you are is the flesh, all of it, that there's nothing inside, like no etheric self. I mean, I say like inside, but it's like energy, and we've been trained to think that, oh, I have my outer, cerebrum cortex, and I have my reptilian brain, and that's what I am. And, they're trying to use the body to change their mind. You can't. I mean, it's my belief. It's truly my belief that this body is a storage device that is full of the definition of a program of beliefs. And the one that you were born into, you can say, well, I wasn't born and I projected in front of me this, or out of me this baby body. I mean, who knows? All things are possible, I guess. But the body that you were born into had a DNA code in it with it, which is belief programming. When animals are evolving and things like that, they're changing their DNA and they're passing it on. They take rats and they run them in a maze in an experiment situation, and the children run the maze faster. They pass on their memories. That's what phobias are. And so the reality is that the body is a storage device for the program of learned behaviors, both what was programmed into your DNA and part of your DNA when you were born. And maybe that's why they say that people need to heal the lines of their ancestors. Maybe it means that you need to become awake, activate the creative power within you, and not just reprogram your value system and in those realms, but then spread that out into your brain, the physical neurons and memories that have come together. But what if it's actually reprogramming your DNA? What if that's possible? What if some of us already do it? Anywho, that is way further along in the future. So another thing that Jesus said, he goes, when you see one who has not born of a woman, prostrate yourself on your faces and worship him. That is your Father. What is not born of a woman? Tomorrow. Or the all-knowing universe that's within you. And, I don't think it means like, God's just going to fly down from heaven and appear in front of somebody. But it's really saying that there is another part of you that isn't the flesh. And ultimately, the degree in which people will be able to, in my opinion, minimize their pride evaluation tool, which is a physical defense tool inside of a human animal body that has evolved over time to try to protect itself, and with all the animals that came, before it, um, hunger and then envy and wrath and all that stuff are also part of that evaluation tool. But it no longer serves what we are becoming, what we are, what the human is. And if you don't realize that within you is all of the power in the universe to create, and it's only limited by your own beliefs that you are clinging to, your own lack of desire or faith to access that power, to change it, that will prevent you from literally living out a life that you love the most. And so that's what I want to get into, the practical thing. So I don't like to give specific instructions or anything like that. I think that's more of a hindrance, because now you're consuming someone else's way to do it, and I think that takes away your power. Just look at it like this. Some people say the devil is the prince of the world. And the world is, every time you look at it and you look to it for information, it is literally the past. Doesn't matter, even if it's the present moment, you're looking at things that came from the past. So, and the problem is, I don't look at evil in the way other people do, and I just look at it as a belief system that either creates challenges and suffering for someone, or one that creates creation for them and happiness and joy and spreads in love and all that stuff. And I do understand that they're both necessary for creation. So I look at it with acceptance for everything that has come up until now. But I do not look to the outside world, the past, and that's why Jesus said the outside world is a corpse. It's a vibration. Instead, you use the outside to show you a reflection of some things that you use it as fodder, ingredients to create your life. Because to be honest, if we immediately took away every challenge that was out there, we'd have nothing to do. Imagine you had the access to God to create anything. You knew it. You didn't have any illusions of limitation. You didn't have, there's nothing. You had everything. Everybody had exactly everything that they wanted. There'd be nothing to create. So I understand that the consumer force and the illusion and limitations of need have their place in the aspects of creation, but I think that we have a severe imbalance, and people are oblivious and completely blind to that force within themselves. And so that's what true humility to me is. It's not believing that you can't do anything, or you're less than, or you need to be selfless or anything like that. You need to be self more. You need to realize you have the almighty power of God, the almighty power of the universe, access to infinite energy, and it's just all you have to do is seek, ask, and knock. All things are possible to them that believeth. Jesus said, you'll be able to do all that I can do and more. So what I want to give you guys is now this is one of the things that came to me, I believe, from, you could say the universe, God, whatever. It was in it did not come from the human animal brain that I had, because there was nothing in my past that should have created it. And it was one day I woke up and I had my 3 primary objectives for my life. And I've been saying them often, every day, usually. I'm sure I missed days. Now I say it every day, multiple times. And this is before I figured out a lot of stuff that I have about the creator-consumer mindset or anything. I just started saying it. Something popped it into my head. And that's what I'm saying, guys. You can truly access it to the degree in that you have faith. We walk by faith, not by sight. You can do things. But what I want to do is I want to give you guys a tool to override, to begin the dissolution and overriding of intent of what it is you think you want, or what you think you want to have, and things like that, that no longer serve you, if you so choose. And to do that, we need to, they say, when the why is greater than the obstacle ceases to exist. So I'm going to ask this question. I want you guys just to think about it for a minute. For those of you who got up today, why? Why did you get up today? What was your intent? What was your intent for your day? Ask yourself, why did I get up this morning? What did I need? Or what did I think I need? What did I think I wanted? Did I think about who I wanted to be? What was a win for my day? What didn't go my way? You can go on and on with those kind of questions. When you ask yourself those questions, it's very enlightening. If we haven't gone to what I'm going to go over with you guys, and it hasn't been practiced for a while, because one of the jarring ones for a lot of people is, why did you get up today? Because I had to go to work. I had to take care of my kids. I had to go to the beach. I needed to go see my brother. I had to go to my friend's birthday party. Think of those words. We have been casting spells, people, on ourselves. I needed to go to work. I had to go to a party. I had to go out to breakfast. I needed to do this. I had to do this. I needed to do this. Those are all in the realm of to do. And in the Gospel of Thomas, I'm going to paraphrase this one. They said, Jesus, should we fast? Should we pray? Should we give alms? He said, no, never lie and never do anything that you hate. And as I mentioned in previous podcast, what he's saying, when you hate is such a strong word, but we don't realize that if you don't like to do something, if you think you need to do something, if you think you have to do something, then you hate it to some degree. So whether people realize it or not, they're saying, I hate to go to my brother's. I hate to go to work. I hate to go to my friend's wedding. They don't realize, but that's what they're saying. And that's what the subconscious is hearing. The subconscious is an interesting beast. If I say to you, don't think of an orange balloon. All right, I know you guys thought of an orange. Don't think of King Kong. Don't think of King Kong with an orange balloon twirling around in a ballerina tutu. Right? So the subconscious is it has a lot of trouble understanding the words no and stuff like that. And so anyways, the point is that things can get sent to it that you wouldn't think consciously you wanted to send it. Like if you said those questions to yourself, or you asked those questions to yourself, don't think, or made those statements to yourself, don't think of this, don't think of that, it goes right into your subconscious. So you got to be careful, very, 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 very careful with your words. Because when I say I hate something, I'm saying I need to do it. When I'm saying I need to do it, I am creating a belief system that says there is this thing that gives me there's this thing that until I do it, I am in a deficit, but I don't want to do it. I hate doing it. You are like giving yourself this quagmire, this quandary, and it messes your program. That's what anxiety is. Misaligned beliefs and values, often perpetuated by using words that the subconscious is taking literally, and we don't even realize it. So I'm going to wrap this up with this. So try to do this over forever if you want. Listen to your words. Be present in your words. In the next episode or two, I'm going to go over with you guys my take on meditation. It's very different than a lot of others, because this stuff, getting present in the moment, will get a lot easier for those of you who are used to becoming centered. And what I do with my meditation is I do a walk back. You know, I told you guys there's the outside world, then there's your body, which is the action, then there's the intent, then there's the values, then there's the I believe that I am my identity. And then at the core is the everything, the universe, God. What I do in my meditations is, without any expectations or anything, I just slowly walk myself back. I walk myself out from the world, and then I do it. And sometimes it takes me 10 to 15 minutes. I listen to music and stuff like that. And for me personally, that's when I'll actually just go into visions, basically. like I'll be watching my thoughts. I'll be like, oh, there's a thought about myself or what I'm doing later. All right, I don't want to think about that. Good, go on, move, fly away, and then boom, I just go, and I don't look for some people. They meditate because they want to have these jaw dropping experiences. I just look at it like I set my intent before and my meditation, and I'm gonna go over my 3 intents with you guys, and I just go. And the thing about it is I think you basically kind of like create new uploads for yourself. I personally don't believe in channeling anything outside of myself. I don't care. I don't want to quantum entangle with anybody else's intent. And I'll show you guys. You want to see the power of quantum entanglement? A doctor who gives a placebo, and the patient doesn't know. It's called a blind study. But you often hear that most studies are double blind studies. That's because the doctor, even knowing whether or not it's a sugar pill, will impart what I believe is quantum entanglement into the energy of that transfer between the doctor and the patient, even if the doctor does nothing different, that will literally affect the outcome. Even a placebo or nocebo itself is a clear indication for me that there's such thing as quantum entanglement playing out energetically in things. So I personally do not believe. Why would I need to channel another being if I have access to the almighty power of the universe? So if I could give any perspective on some of the things I see too, and I'm not saying that the people that channel it, they don't have good information, but perhaps they're accessing their own inner power, but it's being discolored by whatever it is they understand about what that other individual has been saying. I just don't understand it. I don't understand why any of us would need to channel some other being if we have the almighty power of God within us. You know, so that's all I ever go to. But anyways, so try to eliminate words I need to have. If it's helpful for you in the morning when you wake up, or I like doing it before bed, because when you sleep, that's when you connect with your subconscious. Some people say the spirit world, whatever, the inner self. Really, you want to set your intent. In fact, I'll do it in the next one. I do this thing that I say every night, and it's basically kind of like a nice reset thing. It's like I'm excited to go to sleep, and I know in my dreams I will take all this great information I learned on such a wonderful day, and I will apply it in my dreams so that tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to be even more passionate, compassionate, all that stuff. So I'll go over that with another episode with you guys. But for now, what I want you to do is look at it like this. The universe, as I've said in my previous podcast, for those of you who have listened to them, what I'm about to say will make a lot more sense because you have a really good base understanding of how the universe really is a reflection of you. The outer self really is a reflection, or at least that was my hope. And with that being said, what I'm about to say will carry way more weight, and that's why I did it. The universe, the way the universe works, they say the devil is the prince of Earth, and the way I see that is only if you're asking the outside of you to make you feel better inside. You were born super happy and able to do all these creative things, and you had no control over your life. You're pooping in your diaper. You only got to eat when someone else brought you your food or your beverage, you know. And I grew up in an environment that, it doesn't matter. But, and so but babies are the happiest little humans on the planet. So we need to unlearn a lot of that stuff. So what we want to do is realize that within us is the source of all things. At the very least, if you don't want to believe it's the all power of the universe, fine. But at least understand that you have the power within you to be happy in every moment. No ifs, ands, or buts. You have the power within you to be courageous at any moment. You have the power to use discernment at any moment. You have the power to have serenity at any moment. You already did. So like Jesus said, the first will be last and the last will be first. An old man will ask a child 7 days old how to live, and if he listens, the old man will live. Be as wise as serpents and innocent as doves, Jesus also said. What he's saying is, as a baby, you were innocent. You didn't learn all of these beliefs that held you back, that told you that you didn't have the ability to be completely happy and smile and be a little cherub at any moment. You just accepted a belief. You did. And you can unaccept it and let it go. And I bet you it's a lot easier than acquiring all the beliefs that you did when you were a baby. It's a lot easier to let something go than to build a building, right? So when we believe. Now, what I want to do is I want to give you guys, so if you look at it like this, when you hate things or when you seek from need, you're asking the outside world. So if you want to be more of a creator being, have more access to all the good the creative juices and the happiness and all that stuff, you need to basically call it forth from within you. So there's two places you can ask from, two masters you can serve, two horses to choose from, one of which to straddle, two bows you can pick one bow to string. And I personally choose to be led by the creator as opposed to the consumer force. That doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the consumer force, but what I basically do is kind of have my yin yang spinning and constantly I breathe. What I do is I breathe. This is mentally, and I actually imagine it. My outer rings of my tree of the ripples, the further out it goes, goes out from my values. So it comes from my beliefs of what I am, from the source. It goes through that, and then it goes through my values, and then it goes through my intent, then it goes through in my action, then it goes through into the world, and then the world reacts, and they're reacting to what I am radiating it outward. So what I do is I breathe. Some people say you breathe in peace and exhale chaos. I look at it differently. I breathe in, so I send out my sonar out. It goes down, my beliefs, my values, my intent, my action, and then out into the world. And then the world says, boom, says back. They all act. And then I look at that, and then I bring so my sonar goes out, and then I bring it into my center. So I don't breathe in peace and exhale chaos. I am seeking to breathe in chaos and exhale peace. And so I'm just constantly doing that, right? And I'm changing things all the time, and that's what, to me, what being in a present moment is. It's going to take time for some of us to get there, and I'm always going to be working on it forever. The ABCs of Ascension is, one, realize there's no top of the mountain, and once you got to the top, you're just going to go down. And two, the ABCs are an acronym. Always be creating. So when you're always be creating, what does that mean? It means instead of seeking the outside world to give you stuff, you're seeking to like, so it doesn't mean that I'm going to be like, well, I am selfless, so I don't need to drink water. Right? That's not good, right? Neither is, and I don't want to be selfish and feel like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of water, so I go steal all my neighbor's water. Instead, I'm going to be self more. When my body says to me, now it's going to take time. Now a lot of us have needs that we program that are not real. So it's going to take time to develop discernment of spirits, one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit, actually. And you actually get it as a reward for being temperate. But it takes time, and I'm going to go over how to do that stuff with you guys very, very soon in one of these episodes. But it takes time to utilize true discernment and get rid of false needs that were imparted on us and that we accepted. So that takes time, but eventually you're going to find yourself in this pretty good place where the majority of your needs are healthy needs. And I'll show you guys how to do that. We're going to actually switch our needs to being virtuous, being prudent, and eating healthy and things like that. But even then, you don't want to say, I need to eat. I have to eat. Instead of saying I need to eat, I would love to eat something. I would love to have a glass of water. And that's not just because, so number one, remember, programmed in our core, in our DNA, is not just the words we've learned, but, understanding of the people that came before us. And so, the true definition of like real unconditional love is a creative force in the universe. It's a force of transformation, agape, not based on the desirability of the object, but rather the transformation of the subject utilizing the power of the divine. What most people think is love is eros. It's from the Greek word to yearn and to need. And that's why Jesus said, if you go with your hand empty, seeking for more, you will have even more taken from you, because the world's a mirror. And if you go to give to the world will give back to you. Right? So you never do anything that you hate. If your mind says, I need to or I have to, talk to the outer self like we talked about in the last episode and get to the bottom of why it thinks it, gently correct it. And if you can't figure it out, send it to God within yourself. Sometimes I'll write those things down. I'll say them to myself before bed. I'll be like, I experienced a situation today which was beyond my understanding. I hadn't quite found the answer. I'm excited that the answer will come to me tonight in my dreams. And whether or not I recognize it when I wake up, shortly thereafter, I know that everything's been done exactly the way it needs to be done, so that the answer will come to me at the perfect timing. Start speaking like that. I used to think it was corny, all that stuff. I never understood I am affirmations or anything, but now I understand it to such a degree that it's crazy not for me personally not to. So just start listening to your words and try to change them. If you hear I need to or I have to, get to the bottom about why and try to see if you can start dissolving that belief. And immediately replace it with I'd love to have a sandwich. Instead of I need you, like look at all the love songs. I need you, baby. I can't sing it yet. And it definitely would be high pitched. I need you, baby, right? It's that's not good. So many people, I mean, in my opinion, so many people think that the love is just lopsided. It's too much on need. You know what I mean? I know I'm a lot different than a lot of people in what I look for. I got my goal in my life is to have unconditional love for all things, and I'm working very, very hard on it. But that's because that's what I've chosen to do, and we all make our choice. And I think that the path that I've chosen to go on, some people may be like, I don't want to do that, and it doesn't make my path right or theirs wrong or mine right. I just feel it in my core what I need to do. So it's, but you could say instead of I need you, I'm grateful for you. Right? Just start paying attention to your words a little bit. I'm gonna have more and more practical stuff coming out. This is all for me being guided by something within, and it's for a great purpose. And I really worked on my intent and my values and stuff like that. So I believe that as these come out, you guys will I believe that these will be very, very transformative for a lot of people that listen to them. All right, so I want to go over one more thing. So I remember I asked you guys the questions. Wow, I ended up going long, didn't I? I don't know. Maybe they're just gonna be 45-minute episodes or whatever. But I'll cap it with this. I look at the universe as a genie, and you get exactly what you ask for. It says it all over the Bible. It says it everywhere, right? But it's inverted. So a lot of the manifestation videos and stuff out there you see like that, I personally would not do many of them. I wouldn't do any of them. I don't really care. I would not waste all my energy to try to manifest some physical thing that I thought I needed, because then I just get it and it's like, now what? I mean, I personally want to max out and just be a super creator. And I know that when the creative forces are flowing through me, everything I need just seems to come anyways. So, and Jesus said a lot of that stuff. I don't have those scriptures memorized enough. Okay, so here's what I've said for my thing. I'll put them in the description for you guys. But I say this over and over and over again. It came to me one day in a meditation, and it literally fits like a lock and key with everything that I've learned about how to use the secrets of secret keys of the universe to unlock the power of creation within yourself. Number one, so Jesus said, love God, love thyself as thy neighbor. And I didn't even realize it when these popped in my head, but these align with that. So the first one, I choose to be the best to create the life that I love the most. That is my primary objective. And you know what that is? That's loving God. I choose to be the best to create the life that I love the most. Now, why is it like this? And it's funny because I can explain why it is, but I did not know all this when it flew in my head. The reason that you say be the best, because A, you're only ever in a present moment. And now notice it's not I choose to be the best I can. Now, why would that not work as well? Because you wouldn't be you would now remember the subconscious is like a program that it's just working on all your old beliefs, but it's trying to protect you, but it can only protect you based on what you put into it. And so if you say I choose to be the best that I can, you are literally, boom, you're defining. Remember, there's energy, which is unlimited, undefined, unneedy. And then there's vibration, more needy, more limited, more defined. If you're trying to access the power of the creative force, the energy force, versus the vibration consumer force, and you put a limit such as the best I can, subconscious, which is very little, a mathematical formula, says, best he can. Well, we already know, look at our core beliefs. He's not good at stuff. You know what I mean? So you don't want to, so be very careful. If you want to write them your own way, just be very careful with stuff like that. And then it says to create. I choose to be the best to create. You pull forth the force of the creator relative to the degree in which you are seeking to create, relative to consume. It's that simple. And then I choose to be the best to create the life that I love the most. God is life. God is love. God is creation. God is the best. It's like literally that's loving God first. What's the next one? Loving yourself. I choose to be the best, to create the most loving relationships with all things. I choose to be the best, to create the most loving relationships with all things. And again, loving for me is based on agape. And what that does is because I don't have anything, and I certainly don't have people. I don't have my daughter. I'm infringing on her free will, just making the statement with, if I meant it in an authentic way instead of just using it as an example for a podcast. What does it mean to have someone? It means you immediately project onto them based upon your expectations of how they should act as our daughter, as our son, as our friend, as our boss. It's like we don't have anybody. We just have relationships to all things. And when we look at other people like they are items that are ours, again, we're programming the subconscious. And to us, it's an affront that this thing of mine isn't behaving the way it should. If you have things, right? You have toys, you have TV, right? You have things. My friend is broken. It's not working the way it was advertised. It's this friend that I bought 10 years ago. Think I'm going to throw it away. It's broken. Why? Why is it broken? It changed. What? Your friend? Yes. How long have you known them? 10 years. And you think changing over the course of a 10-year period is wrong? That's the consumer mindset, people. Most friendships, relationships end when people change. That's sad. And it's why I love people. I really do. I love people. But I also know what I am, relatively speaking, and it's still a growth process for me. I don't hold too many what some people would call close relationships of expectations, because I just truly do give up kind of unconditional love, and I am in a forever state of change. And I don't like to talk about. I won't. I don't ever want to invalidate someone else's feelings. So I will communicate with them in a way that's similar to the way I communicate with my own outer self. But, the consumer mindset is often, most conversations that are heavily influenced by the consumer mindset if you look at them and you listen to them, they're seeking justification because something made them mad or unhappy, and they're looking for someone else to share that with that will validate their unhappiness, but in such a way that they deserve it, and that actually the person that wants to offer a suggestion to help the person change in a heavily inundated consumer mindset, that person could look like what they're doing is quote unquote wrong. So I have loving relationships with all things, but I have unconditional loving relationships with all things. And to me, when I truly love all the things around me, they don't have to be anything. I accept them all for what they are. And love to me is I'll provide whatever I can, that's positive and constructive, because again, love is agape, transformation of the subject, utilizing the power of the divine. And I love it. But I also, I said I choose to create the most loving relationship with all things. I mean, I'm telling you guys, I go for a walk and I love everything. I love the glancing at an ant on the ground, the birds in the sky, the clouds, if it's foggy, if it's raining, the sound of the rain. See, you guys gotta understand the power of the subconscious when you program it correctly. It's like in the movie The Terminator 2, the mother's watching, like the Terminator gets sent back in time to protect the little kid. And I'm going to paraphrase this, but she's like, oh, he'll never stop. He'll always protect her, blah, 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 and protect him. And that's kind of how what you think is your kind of outer ego, outer self, subconscious is. It's almost like people think of it like an enemy. It's just from the past. And all you have to do is reprogram it. And when you use things like these, set this up as your primary objectives in your life, watch what happens. It will change everything. They say the devil is in the details, because if you try to write out a detailed list of what it is that you want for your future right now, you're doing it from a mind state that's limited and built in the past. You could never imagine what the world could bring to you. And if you also notice with these things, I choose to be the best to create the life that I love the most. It's always present tense. Say it often, see what happens. Magic happens. And then my third one, I think that the third one is what you give to the world. We all have a unique set of gifts, and it will usually correspond with what we love to do. Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, show me the stone the builders rejected, and I will make it my keystone. And that's kind of how it works, too. When I was a kid, I always got in trouble all the time for talking. Being a class clown, seeking attention, you know what I mean? But I just wanted to talk. And it's one of my personal gifts and one of my loves and one of my opportunities that I can give back to the world. So if you want to love God first, you want to write something, I personally chose to say, I choose to be the best to create the life. I choose to be the best to create the life that I love the most. How do I want to treat my neighbors? I choose to be the best to create the most loving relationships with all things. And number 3, all things. And it's unconditional for me, but everybody's different what they choose. And number 3, I choose to be the best to empower others to be their best, to love their life, themselves, and the world around them. That is my basically life objective for what I do for the world around me. And I will tell you guys that doing that, along with being more present, meditating, and being aware of my thoughts and correcting them gently and dissolving the beliefs when they need to, and some other stuff I'll go over with you guys in the future episodes, it has changed my life. Because remember, the baby doesn't walk. When the baby's moving its fingers, it's just sending out thought frequencies, intent. And it keeps playing around with those thought frequencies and that intent until eventually it figures out how to move its hand. You never do anything. And then, like the wise Confucius said, you don't create, to put that in quotes, so you don't do, parentheses, you don't, he said, let me start that over. Confucius said, I don't transmit. Sorry, oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? Confucius said, I don't create, and I'm going to put in parentheses my version of that, do, I transmit. And so you want to tune into the force of the Father and let that wash over yesterday and always heal yesterday, continuously transform yesterday, allow you to let go of things, and allow you to be the best you can be. And when you say these 3, when you like this first one, I choose to be the best to create the life that I love the most, even if that's the only one you said, it's like wishing for more wishes. Try it out. All right, love you guys. Until next time.